Hello, or as they say in Simlish, dag dag. On today's video, I'm going to be doing something that I've kind of thought about doing on and off on multiple occasions. I don't know if this is true for anyone else out there, but for some reason, throughout all my years of drawing things for the internet, something always comes up when we talk about making rooms or spaces in perspective, which is that, you want to use reference, but you don't always have the reference to look exactly like the room that you want. And building out a model is the easiest way to do that. And one of the most accessible models that most of us have, especially given, I think, post-pandemic era when we were getting a lot of stuff for free, one of the things that most of us have access to, or research that most of us have access to, is Sims, strangely enough. So with The Sims, one thing that I think is true is that you could build out, obviously, 3D space, but it could be like very customizable versus something like a Google SketchUp. Granted, I don't know much about Google SketchUp. I don't go over there, so maybe she's a lot more detailed than I know of, but from what I know to be true with Sims, you can get highly customizable with the furnishings and the wallpaper and all of that. Between the packs that come with Sims and then custom content that people make online, you can really get specific about what it is that you're making. So, knowing that this is something that comes up on and off quite frequently in the art space, I wanted to actually test it because it's something that I've said or I've heard said, but it's not something I've ever done, which is to build a space in The Sims that I would translate into a full drawing on Procreate. So that's what I did today. I took a setting from a story idea that I have. I won't get too deep into it, but I'm working on a story. As every artist out there today is doing. I too am working on a story. So I took one of the rooms that I'm using, that main hub in the story, and I'm trying to build that space in Sims. So just to explain what the story is. Okay, not the full story, but the context for this room at least. So this room was made to be kind of a magical researcher's den, if you will. It's like an office space, a small one, because this person is kind of relegated to the dregs of the research. So it's a small space, fancy space, but a small one. And I wanted it to be kind of a mishmash of archaeologist research / librarian / magic. So all of those elements, I wanted it to be present. And I'm also basing what the styling of this place looks like. I'm basing it a little bit off of, if you've ever been to Miami, Vizcaya, which is this museum / garden, that it's meant to be, it was built like in the 1920s, but it was meant to be kind of an homage to old Venetian like architecture and very old style European mishmash of different things in Europe of a certain era. And to me, that place looks magical. So that's the basis. So I wanted things like stained glass windows. I kind of wanted a marbly type floor, not entirely tied to that, playing with it, but I wanted this a warm feeling from it, because that place does feel very warm and kind of natural colors in the walls and stuff like that. But I wanted old looking bookshelves, and I wanted it to be filled with stuff. So that's kind of the vibe we're going for to start. After making everything on Sims, I took screenshots basically of every angle possible. I just wanted to make sure that when I actually started drawing, that I wouldn't I decided to draw it from high up above it or something, and I couldn't figure out what was there, or couldn't make it exist because I didn't actually have the reference for it. But I kind of had an idea in my head of how I wanted it to look, which I kind of wanted to look at it from basically a left-hand side view of it. So I did all my screenshots, put it all together, and took it to Procreate and started out. I did take references from other places. I didn't want to basically just do a one-to-one drawing of what I made in Sims. I kind of wanted to find my own furniture and like populate it just in the same places that The Sims, that I did it with The Sims. It was kind of like a, much like regular reference, just like a landmark, like a way to start us off. I knew where things were supposed to be. I kind of had a gist of like the perspective of everything. Perspective and I are not great friends, so I needed that. And I kind of had an idea of what I wanted to populate this space with. So there was less having to think about all those details when I started drawing it. When I did the first one that I've ever done, which maybe I'll pop that in here just so you can see it. But when I did the first 3D space drawing that I've ever worked on, it was a lot of pulling reference and then having to like figure out where all those things would fit. So it took a little bit longer than this. This was a luxury in that I kind of did that work of like mapping out the layout of this already in Sims. So all I had to do was figure out what I wanted them to essentially look like. And I kind of had an idea of what I wanted them to look like based on the furniture that I pulled from Sims. There are a couple of things that were Sims specific that I was like, that's cute, and I never thought about that. And so I will add that to my drawing here. Things like they had a celestial map in Realm of Magic showing kind of like, I think it was the phases of the moon. At least that's what I made it in mind. That's what I had space for. But, you know, stuff like that, I didn't think about. I mean, granted, I didn't stop to like let me think about all the things that are going in my piece right now. But maybe if I hadn't seen it in The Sims, I wouldn't have thought to put it on the wall in my drawing. So things like that were really helpful. There are a couple of things that didn't end up making it into the final drawing, mostly because I didn't have enough space. I think I didn't map out the spaces accurately. It honestly doesn't matter, it's not that big of a deal, but I think The Sims space was a lot larger than what I actually ended up drawing. So there's a ton of stuff that made it into the Sims build but didn't make it into the final drawing because I was like, it's getting cramped. I can't possibly add the turquoise skeleton. There's not enough space. So things got left out, things got moved around because where they were in the Sims version, it just wouldn't fit in the way I had the drawing. Not in a way that felt comfortable, so I'd have to move it somewhere else if I wanted to keep it. So things like the dolly and some of the pottery and things like that got jostled to kind of fit what I was doing. But having essentially the guide of like what's in this space and like typically where I'm putting it it made the process pretty easy. I didn't really have to think so hard about like, how's this gonna fit? What's gonna go in there? What's interesting to fit in this space? Like I said, most of that work got done on The Sims end, so this was helpful. When it came to the painting, the coloring for this, I think this is where I got to be a little bit more, forget what I made in Sims. We're gonna go off book here. I did my color studies as I want to do. I love me a color study, and basically was trying to figure out, I don't know, like I said, I was really drawn to like pink and purple for this. So I was trying to figure out exactly how I wanted to portray that. But like I said, if you know Vizcaya, the colors that remind me of Vizcaya are this cream and green color scheme. So I wanted to use that in the final piece and kind of have this, I don't know, kind of natural feeling interior with really magical feeling light. That's what was going on in my mind when I did the color studies for this. So I went along with that, and I was going for trying to balance those two ideas in the color scheme. One of the things I really liked playing with in the painting of this was actually all the wood items, because it was getting a little too brown heavy. So I needed a way to separate all the wooden elements in this. So I made one of the desks kind of green, which it is turquoisey in the Sims version, but it wasn't working as turquoise when I was doing it. So I did make it like this kind of sage green. And then I wanted to feel like peeling wood almost, so I put some more like browns back into it. You see what I'm talking about. And another thing that I had fun doing is putting all these colors into the brown colors of the main wood. So I lightly have brushed in there some like purples and pinks and greens. All the main colors are making up the full scene into the dark wood elements. And I did this in part because I saw this tree called a rainbow eucalyptus. Look it up. They are so beautiful and they're vibrant. Like they look like they're spray painted. It's very insane. But the ones that aren't as vibrant have like this soft trickle of colors all throughout the wood, and it's just so pretty. And when I saw that, I was like, if I had a magic wand, that's the wood I would want it made out of. And so I'm thinking of magical cabinets and stuff like that. I was like, you know what wood would work? Rainbow eucalyptus. And so hence that is why I started brushing those colors into the dark wood here. And I think it works for keeping all these like wooden pieces looking a little bit different. And obviously I use like different types of wood stains, so it's like dark wood versus like a lighter wood, and then obviously we got that green, so on and so forth. Just for a little frame of reference, I did want you to see what the final Sims build looks like versus the final drawing with the flat colors in of the thing that it inspired, just so you can see how similar / different certain things are. I definitely moved things out of the space, like tables and lanterns and stuff like that, but some of the core things I think were kept the same, like the shelving, the desk area, and things like the big pottery things and stuff like that, and the stained glass windows, because as I said, those were kind of like the key. I needed those windows in there. And so we get to my final / favorite part of the drawing, which is the lighting. So I was going for a purple shadows, pink light situation. And so all of the shadows, I mean, I did brush in some base shadows when I was doing the main colors, but then I kind of emphasized that with doing like a purple wash of color over everything. And I do that by, you know, purple and putting it on a multiply layer, but with a lower opacity. That's a trick, everybody. Write that down. So yeah, I did that. So you kind of have everything feeling purpley all together in the shadows. Like it works on like a unifying color palette scenario, and it works on like there's a purple feeling to this piece now, which is what I wanted. And then I kind of use like pink light. Listen, I love a rim lighting, and I love a rim lighting that's not a natural color. So thank you to the color pink today for doing that for me. And also I really wanted to highlight the stained glass windows, because like I said, that was a fave for me. That was a key element for me. So I painted in some square shapes on the ground to kind of emulate like, oh, the light's coming in through the windows. And I did this by using the screen layer in the color of the thing that I was painting. So if it's a pink square on the ground, it's pink but on a screen layer, which makes it look like this really burnished white color, except on certain things it kind of has like this pink glow to it. Don't ask me how that works. That's just how it works. So thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you learned something today too. Maybe this will be, your new niche as well. just illustrators who use Sims as 3D models? Possibly. If so, welcome to the club. If not, sorry. While you're here, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, but do all the YouTube things down below. Find me on Patreon, Substack, Instagram, you name it, girl. I'm here. All my links are also down below. New videos on my channel every other Saturday. And until then, I'll see you next time, guys. Bye.